Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's video, we are going to discuss Flint Council meeting. They had a special, it wasn't a special meeting, but their financial committee met yesterday, and their legislation, I guess, committee met yesterday. There were missing council members on yesterday, so they didn't get a lot of stuff done, but the residents were able to speak out against some of the resolutions that they were trying to pass. And of course, the new council member joined. He was there in session yesterday. And I guess he's probably not going to have too many friends because he was speaking out against some of the stuff that they were doing. Okay, so we're going to discuss that. And much more. I got a couple of other little stories that I want to tell you about, but we are going to talk about it on another episode of Business Talks.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
You guys put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Let's see who we have in the building. I see we have Lady T-Book. Thank you for tuning in. Lexi, it's good to see you. Green Medicine, thank you for tuning in. Green Medicine is tuning in from Chicago. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Green Medicine. Sometimes I forget how pretty I am too. Anyway. And Quincy Gray is tuning in from DFW. It is always great to see some familiar people in the chat. I really appreciate every single last one of you guys for tuning in on Thursday. And we have Sandy Rodriguez always from California. Avis Hopkins from Miami, Florida. Thank you, Avis. Okay, so just a short story. This is a short story about Puff Daddy. There was another video that came out. I don't know if you guys seen it or not. Puff Daddy. Did my computer freeze up on me? It's freezing up on me. Well, maybe I ought to talk about this next story before I get to Puff Daddy. Okay, let me just talk about Tiffany Henyard before I get to Puff Daddy. Tiffany Henyard, she was in court earlier this week on the 23rd, Monday, and she testified in front of the grand jury. And some of the people in the township, they had to come before the grand jury because she's under the investigation whether or not she misused federal funds in the township. And last week, she was in front of the grand jury for Dalton Village. Now, we know that Tiffany Henyard, she's a flashy person, and she's been patting people's pocket. If you watch other channels that's covering Dalton Village, in particular, Jedediah Brown, his channel on YouTube is called Advocate and Investigate. Something that, if you guys know that channel, put it in the chat. But he had got in contact with this guy named Bobby Murr. Now, if you're part of that Dalton Politics page, Bobby, he's been bringing, shedding light on different individuals. And one in particular individual he shed the light on is Tiffany Henyard's salary and her boyfriend Kamal Bell's salary. And he compared the two salaries from when they got into office until now, and how the significant increase of finances or increase in their salary. This drop drastically. Like you normally don't see this. When you're getting a raise, you normally don't see a 15% jump in your salary. But he shed light on that. Anyway, so that's what the whole thing is about. The FBI wanted, salary or in compensations for certain individuals. They wanted certain contracts for work that was being rendered and under the township and the village and all that crazy stuff. So this article came out just recently, and it is saying that, let me just change it up. Just recently, and it's saying that Tiffany Henyard built the wrong township or the wrong, I guess, city for this trip that she just took. Well, not just took, but she built the wrong township. And I guess it was supposed to go from this town, from the Dalton village. I guess she built the Thornton Township, but she built the Dalton village. So she's co-mingling funds, which she shouldn't be doing. One job is for the township, and it involves 16 or 17 cities. And then she's the Dalton village mayor, which is supposed to be a part-time job. And it is starting to concern everyone because she's co-mingling funds. And this is, I believe this is it. No, this is not it. Let me just go to, here you go. And it's starting to commingle funds. Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard billed the wrong taxpayers nearly $10,000 for a pricey political junket. Okay. And this is when she went to Washington. She went to Washington, and you could see her. Remember, I showed her the video. She was talking about, hey, you guys, do you know who that is? It was Abraham Lincoln. And I was like, oh, I doubt if she know who that is. But anyway, this is her.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a video, show you guys what I am up to.
It's mid-January, and Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is in the White House.
It's going to just be dope. Let me just turn around so you can see. Got a group of people.
Henyard is in Washington as part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors annual winter meeting, along with mayors from hundreds of communities across the country. And part of the meeting includes a White House tour, including brief remarks from President Joe Biden. Henyard live streams her encounter and later puts a slickly produced video on her Facebook page capturing her photo op with the president. A big moment for a mayor from a relatively small suburb of about 20,000 people. Problem is, Henyard billed the trip to the wrong taxpayers.
These appropriations are misappropriations.
We showed what we found to veteran municipal lawyer Bert Odelson, who represents Dalton trustees opposed to Henyard.
Every time I say I can't believe that she would do something, here comes another.
What we found are credit card records showing expenditures for the Washington trip, including $5,000 to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, plane tickets for herself and assistant Keith Freeman for $718 apiece, hotel rooms at the Washington Hilton for over $1,000 each, and a $629 rental car. Total cost to taxpayers, $9,167. But here's the catch. Those taxpayers don't live in Dalton, where Henyard is mayor.
The township residents are paying for her fund.
Indeed, the credit card used to pay for the mayor's conference is from Thornton Township, a completely different government body where Henyard also serves as supervisor.
Now, and this is why Illinois does have a legislation, and I have to look up the legislation. You can't work for two different governments. Now, when she was appointed the township supervisor, I'm assuming they've looked it up because the mayor of Dalton is a part-time position. They made sure that it was not a conflict of interest. But the problem is she has Keith Freeman as the administrator at Dalton Village. And then he is like the manager or administrator or some type of city manager for the Thornton Township. So you have two different cards. And that's why they say you cannot hold two full-time positions in two different bodies of government. I mean, that's why they put that rule up, because of the commingling of funds. Because I'm pretty sure somebody's already done this. Now, commingling of funds, they don't care. This is not a mistake. And I'm pretty sure when they reveal all the financial documents, I haven't put in a FOIA request lately as of yet, but last time I put one in the township, they didn't answer it. They said I need to clarify more. And then I clarified and I didn't get a message back. I should send in for a lawsuit. But then another, this is before the trustees sent the Village of Dalton and Tiffany Henyard to court. I sent in a request and they didn't answer that request. But anywho, this is exactly why they say don't work for two different governments. This is exactly why. Because now you have these commingling of funds and you can't say this was a mistake. You got to use Thornton Township's money because they haven't ran out the money. They haven't tapped it dry. You have to use Dalton Village well has dried up, so that's why you're using Thornton Township money for whatever your lifestyle or whatever, your trips, your fun that you want to have.
There's no reason for anyone from a township to go to a mayor's conference. A mayor's conference is a mayor's conference for mayors.
This is a Thornton Township credit card bill, yet their payment's going to a mayor's conference. Does that make any sense to you?
No, really doesn't. But unfortunately, this is kind of what we've seen going on, obviously, for a while now.
Thornton Township trustee Chris Gonzalez says he's frustrated by the lack of transparency about the township's bills and credit cards.
So that's one of the reasons I vote no when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question, there's no answer.
You're the one who found these.
Yep.
Stephanie Wiedemann is a former Thornton Township employee fired by Henyard and now a whistleblower. She says Henyard's dual roles as mayor of Dalton and supervisor of the township, two separate government entities, are constantly being blurred.
I have found, bills that were made out to the Village of Dalton that were paid with a Thornton Township check. It's hard to decipher what is township and what is Dalton because she blends them so carelessly.
And it should be church and state.
It absolutely should be.
Wiedemann and others believe Henyard is using township funds because Dalton is broke, as much as $5 million in the red. In part, they say, because of massive spending by Henyard on out-of-town trips, her police security detail, endless lawsuits, and overuse of credit cards, all of which are now the subject of an ongoing FBI investigation at both the village and the township.
You can't make this stuff up.
Attorney Odelson says he wouldn't be surprised if the FBI is looking at Henyard's trip to Washington on the wrong taxpayer's dime.
Is that a crime?
Misappropriation of funds for personal use? Yes, it is a crime.
And it's not that hard. If it's for Dalton, Dalton pays for it. If it's for Thornton Township pays for it.
We reached out to both Henyard and her top deputy, Keith Freeman, on whose Thornton Township credit card those charges appear. Neither have yet responded. Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
Okay, so yeah, this is why you shouldn't commingle funds, and this is a very serious allegation made against Tiffany.
The high winds are creating power outages for some people across our northern suburbs.
Our Nate Rogers is live with conditions there. Nate. Yeah, Don and Scott, good evening to the both of you.
And this is why you shouldn't commingle funds. You guys, hold on for just a second. Hold on. Hello. Hello. Yeah. What's going on? I'm pretty sure I did. I'm gonna have to give you a call back though. I'm online. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, so this is exactly why you shouldn't commingle funds. Now, Lexi made a point. She pointed out that, yeah, Tiffany Henyard was crying. Tiffany Henyard was crying last night. Not even last night. This was before the grand jury. She made this statement. I don't know how they obtained it, but this is what I say about Jedediah Brown. He comes up with some information. He gets the tea. And maybe this was part of the Zoom call because this is looked like it was on Zoom. But this is what I'm sharing with you today. This is Tiffany Henyard sitting next to Keith Freeman on giving her statement about this charity, and she begins to cry. Why are you crying, Tiffany? Why are you crying? You in front of the white court, because remember she said if if it's white is right, she blamed all the stuff on the dead man, Frank Zuccarelli, the white man that held that position for 25 years. And she said if it was a white man doing this, y'all wouldn't even be saying anything to me. That's she had all that rah shish kumbaya, and now you up there sniffling and crying. And you see who in the background? Andrew Holmes looking sad, Stan Brown looking sad. Who is that? The one lady. She's the I believe she's on the board of trustees. But they all looking sad. Why? Why are you looking sad? Why are you crying? it's unfortunate that it came to this. You even so even if you created that charity for that specific reason, you raise money and use the charity unlawfully. Now you taint it. Could have been once a good charity. It had good causes, but now it's tainted. It's tainted. And you're crying about that. You're crying. It's nothing much more I could say about Tiffany. I think her days are numbered. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully this will be a learning lesson for everyone. You know, you mess around with people's money, taxpayers' money, and then you go around and act like you don't have to answer to these residents. You don't have to answer to the board of trustees that are made to hold you accountable. Hopefully this is a learning lesson to everyone that's trying to get into politics and you think you don't have any accountability or people that's going to hold your feet to the fire. Hopefully this is a learning lesson. Now, speaking of learning lessons, I don't think Flint Council members, I don't think they've learned their lesson because nobody's been charged with anything. They think, and I'm speaking of the Flint Council members, they think they don't have to answer to nobody. They think they could misuse federal funds. Now, during the city council member meeting, you guys, that's all I'm going to say about Tiffany. You guys put it in chat. Let me know what you think. During this city council member meeting, Flint residents, they, where am I at? Flint residents, they decided to speak out about this $30,000. I guess the board approved where they could spend $30,000 to their each individual ward. And Tanya Member Burns, before she left, she said, hey, I think we shouldn't even use this $30,000 because it could seem like we're funding our campaign. It could be a campaign thing. This is an issue where you will see, and have been people in the past under questioning. You use federal dollars, and now you're up for campaigning. Misappropriation of funds, and I don't understand why they don't get this. They don't get this. This was streamed last night. Streamed last night. And this is at the point, I'm not going to share the whole meeting. It was a 4-hour long meeting. I'm not going to share the whole meeting with you, but I want to share something, certain points of the meeting. And this is the finance committee meeting. You have your Quincy Murphy there. Liddell Lewis came late. I don't know if she's part of the finance committee, but she came late. Pfeiffer was there. And you had Tanya Burns. They had to leave early. And then you had the new council member, Jonathan Jarrett. Oh, and the temporary guy. I forget what his name, and Marchette. I believe her name is Marchette. Anywho, at this point in the meeting, they were talking about $30,000. $30,000 that they want to take from the opera fund and award each individual council members, and they could do it as they see fit in the ward. Mind you, 700, this is a number that I got from Council Member Burns. 700 people applied to get their house fixed, whether it be roof, windows, something needed to be repaired. 700 individuals that own houses in Flint, and not one of them have received any money. Any money. None of them. 700 individuals, 700 housing or homeowners that need a roof fix, their windows fixed, something's wrong with their foundation. I'm not for sure, but something's wrong with their house and they need help from the city. And that's what the opera funds were supposed to do, at least 35 million of it. And none of them have received not one damn dime. Okay? Not one damn dime has been given out to any of these residents of Flint. But they want to vote $30,000 for themselves to use in their ward as they see fit. I know I'm getting loud about it, but do you see the insanity in this? You've had these opera funds, and I believe they got to use it up by the end of this year. You've had these funds just sitting there. Or you're voting for your own, what is it called? Own nonprofit organization. But you don't want to give the residents anything. I'm fast forwarding to that point. He's just trying to say, hey, I want my $30,000. Back to Quincy Gray. I didn't see your super chat. I really appreciate you. Um, Quincy Gray, this is a good question. We all want to see what we want to see happen with Tiffany Tahoe, but the best mayor of all times. But do you think is really going to happen to her? I do think it's going to happen to her, but I don't think it's going to be before the new election. That's why if you're from Dalton and Thornton Township, you better be prepared to get out and vote. Because, and I mentioned this yesterday, Tiffany is a worker. She is a social butterfly. She knows how to get the people on her side. You see, she's giving out TVs and popcorn and baskets and food. That's how she's going to win. If the Thornton Township's people doesn't galvanize and the Dalton trustees doesn't galvanize and get out and do the legwork that Tiffany's doing, Tiffany's going to be in office again. And she'll be indicted, but she probably get elected before her indictment comes, or before she get convicted. I believe her indictment will come sooner than later. But if they don't get out and start rallying up those people and reminding people, hey, remember Tiffany said this and she did this. If they don't pound the pavement and get out and get to those people that they know that are eligible to vote, Tiffany will be in office again. So it's up to Dalton residents in Thornton Township. Good question. Back. I hate to keep on jumping back and forth, but Quincy Murphy, he's basically saying, hey, I know what I want to do in my district or my ward. I just want my money. I want my money. Question to you guys. How much does it cost to fix a roof? One of those peak roofs, like on a house. If you don't have a flat roof, one of those house roofs. How much? Probably about 17 to 20,000, depending on how large your roof is. Some even more. So you're voting to get $30,000. What are you planning to do? You said you was worried about blight in your area. What are you going to do? You got $11,000 from a multi-million-dollar, probably $1 billion corporation. That's all they gave you is $11,000. Now you scraping for $30,000. And you don't see how this could look bad on you, and you're running for re-election. You voted yourself to get $30,000. Is basically himself. And you're going to spend it on probably your nonprofit organizations, you and your other people. And you're ready to spend the money. And they're going to point out, oh, we wasn't here when they voted. Then vote it down. It looks unscrupulous. Vote it down. Don't try to press for it. But no, you're not, because you want that $30,000. Or if you got Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if you could hear me. I just read the text saying I don't have any sound. Can you hear the video now? Let me know if you could hear the video. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna reload the stream. I don't know why you can't hear it. Just bear with me. I'm gonna come in and come back out. Okay, I'm gonna try to play this video. Let me know if you could hear it or not.
Spicy. Yeah, Vitziak picks up additional outs. An ace or a 10 on the river would eliminate Carl Shaw. River card is an ace!
Oh, wow.
Barry
What a reversal.
City Council Jonathan Jarrett winning the 9th Ward seat in a special recall election. Thanks for watching the news at 5:30. I'm David Custer.
And I'm Elise Ramey. Zane O'Meara spoke with him today about what he hopes to accomplish. He joins us live from Flint. Zane?
Elise and David, Jonathan Jarrett won yesterday's election with 52% of the vote. He's taking over Eva Worthing's seat in the 9th Ward.
Personally, what I want to do is really just make the citizens of the 9th Ward proud.
Meet Jonathan Jarrett.
Born and raised here in the city of Flint. Been married to my wife for coming on 7 years now. Started out in banking, did some work in nonprofit, and got back into banking as currently the CRA officer with the state bank.
And now he's ready to get to work as the new councilman for Flint's 9th Ward.
There are some common themes that we have throughout the city. We'll hear blight throughout the city. We'll hear crime throughout the city.
Jarrett says his background in banking and nonprofit has given him skills to address those challenges.
There are financial impacts of blight. You have decreasing property values, but also there's a energy that having a clean community provides to the residents. There's a sense of pride.
Another priority for Jarrett, revitalization and bringing new industries and business to Flint.
It's that fine dance in the balance between providing some incentive to at least pique curiosity so that you can have discussion while not giving so much away.
And he hopes
So, you know, he has all these hopes and dreams of working with the council members in Flint. But unfortunately, if they don't want to work with you, if you don't vote their way, okay, they are really upset with him. Now, I'm going to play this video. Hope you guys could hear it. You could hear it. And right now, Quincy Murphy is begging to get that $30,000. And remember, I mentioned they're trying to award themselves $30,000 while none of their residents that applied to get their roofs fixed or whatever's wrong with their house, they have not received anything. They haven't received anything.
Councilman in the 9th Ward, you have the floor.
So, is there
You guys put in the chat, put a 1 in the chat and let me know if you could hear this video.
a form that we're going to use as standard, or is it already in existence?
It's however you choose. So if you choose to do a form for your ward, then you can. Yeah.
So as far as consistency too, because this has to go, if I understand, it's going to Ernst & Young for review, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so there, I'm hearing also that it is at the council person's discretion. Otherwise, how it gets used, it just needs to be approved by Ernst & Young.
Correct.
Okay. So, but then, so once they approve it, did I understand correctly that it's going to be then put to a resolution and it has to be voted on?
Correct.
So in my mind, that almost isn't that any of us gets to use it however we want to, because we'll need a vote of 5.
Correct.
Well, if I may, if you have colleagues that support your initiatives, then you can do it.
I understand what we're saying, that it'll likely get approved. Likely though.
So the thought process behind this is the $30,000 that you will spend in your ward how you would like, and you will be subject to your constituents if you do not do it in the way that they like. Right. That your judge and jury on that will be your residents.
Okay. So when I understand this was approved a while ago, why has there been a delay in expending?
So you want to know why it's been a delay in expending this money? Because I'm bringing you to order. Stop. So the reason why it's been a delay is because no one brought it to the floor. We've been voting on other things, so you can bring it to the floor whenever you see fit.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that others have not already been working in their ward for it.
No,
it's just this is.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, and quite frankly, I'm thankful, appreciative of the fact that for the 9th Ward, they hadn't been expended until now, because as the, seated elected official, I get to utilize them in a way in collaboration with the constituents. I do have a certain amount of concern around these funds, especially where we are today. I have concern about these funds being used potentially in a political fashion. So I don't know how we might, maybe part of that conversation can be that for seats where there may be some question, maybe that.
You see, they mad as hell at him. How dare you think on your own? We told you we voted this resolution up months ago, even before we were here. Why do you think we're going to use it politically? We didn't have anything to do for the votes. We just want the money. And look at her. Look at this lady, Liddell. Look at Quincy. They mad.
Usage currently be set at 15,000 and allow for whomever is going to take the seat after the pending election. And if they then are seated through election, they get use and benefit of that other 15,000. That's just me in this rare opportunity that I think I'll have to dialogue with my colleagues in a special order where we don't have to worry about as much taking the floor or having the floor taken and being able to sort of speak amongst each other. You know, just trying to find some solutions that might be fair. I come here willing and wanting to work with whoever is seated in these other 8. And I want to do it in a way that I'm not concerned about making enemies, but I'm also equally not as concerned about making friends. I just want to make for a good work here and have us in a way where we are, you know, equal parts civil and respectful. So I do want to see us do good work, and I believe there will be good work that we can and will do with these funds that are at our discretion. I just do have, again, those questions and reservations, and I'll cede the floor.
So,
Is there anyone else who would like the floor at this time?
thank you, Madam Chair. All right, so
You see, Liddell Lewis, she's going to chime in, and she's going to tell him, yeah, this thing was already put up years ago or before we got here. So we might as well just vote it in. That don't mean it was right. And whoever does the camera for Flint Council member meeting, they need to stop. They're always facing. I know they got the camera on jump scenes, but stop it. Man the camera for real. Put the camera on the person that's talking. That's just my own 2 cents on the cameraman. I don't know who you are, but let's get it done. Like, come on now. Why am I facing the camera? Like, why is this camera facing the security camera? It doesn't make sense.
So, you know, I definitely hear what he's saying, but with all due respect, the Ninth Ward problems are different than the North Side problems. And so what a lot of us have done, we have had meetings. We have spoke with our constituents. We've heard what they want to do with those funds, and we're acting exactly as we agreed upon to do. So the next step is just for us to get it clear by the compliancy firm. One thing I don't want to do, I don't want to make it appear that we are fighting, that we're using funds for political gain. What we're doing is we're using funds to make our wards better. And we were doing it before you got here, and we will continue to do that. And so we encourage you, if you would like some solutions, and some thoughts of how to engage your constituents so you can find out how you should use your money. We will. I know I'm definitely open to do that. But when you ride through the second ward and you see grass up to your waist, when you have other rodent issues, when we have other issues that we must attack, when you see those things.
You see the lady holding a sign called Poppycock. Liddell, she probably has a valid point. Ninth Ward probably doesn't have the same issues as the second ward. But this is the problem here. This is the problem with city council. You were awarded $94.7 million, and you're still facing the issue of blight. You're still facing the issue of blight. That sounds like just mismanagement. $30,000 is not going to fix blight. I'm just throwing that out there. That's not going to fix blight. You in one ward, you could probably knock down maybe a couple of houses for $30,000. You could mow maybe 5 blocks for $30,000. But it's not going to fix blight in your area. This is a summary of Flint's recovery plan. This is what they submitted to the federal government. Okay? They submitted this to the federal government. Why am I seeing that? Okay. Housing and blight. Remember I said they was awarded $94 million or $95 million. And this is how they allocated that 95 something million dollars of the opera fund. And I don't even think this totals 90 something million dollars. I haven't went in to total it, but I'm just looking at housing and blight, revitalize neighborhoods, attract new residents, promote and protect home ownership. All the residents that I've talked to that lives in Flint, none of this shit been done. And I use the word shit because none of it, none of this been done. You heard Quincy Murphy. Oh, I do blight. Remember that 11-minute long speech where he was trying to explain why he received $11,000 lawnmower from a vote that was supposed to have been taken up about this commercial real estate company, this commercial developer, and he took a gift from them so they could secure a yes vote on this $75 million grant or tax abatement. They gave him $11,000 for that $75 million. This is how stupid people are. They're fighting over $30,000 instead of making resolutions to actually, you have the money, or did. I don't know what they did with it. You had the money, but nobody's voting on a resolution to use this $30 million to actually clean up the neighborhood and revitalize the neighborhood. Nobody's voted on that. You had 700 people saying, hey, I need help to revitalize my house that's in this neighborhood. And nobody's voted on that. Tanya Burns, before she left, she mentioned that she put a resolution of $14 million that she wanted to allocate to housing, revitalizing the neighborhood, and they voted down. If I was Tanya Burns, I'd keep on trying to pass that resolution. So when election time, she could put out how many times that she, hey, in January, I put my resolution on the agenda. February on the agenda, it was voted down. March, April, May, June. But no, they fighting over $30,000. So they could use to whatever. It doesn't make any sense. And now they mad at the new guy for questioning the whole $30,000 thing. It looks like you using it for your own. It could be perceived as you using it for your political advantage. You trying to sway the people instead of using it for what you should be using it for. Why do you need the $30,000? Why don't you put a resolution in front? And I'm assuming that they need to hire somebody to be the fiduciary to be responsible of, allocating and dishing out or distributing the funds. But they haven't did that. You guys put in chat, have they did that? In Flint, do they have a fiduciary that's responsible for the people that's applying to get their house fixed or roof fixed or whatever fixed, blight in their neighborhood? Who's the responsible party for that?
There is not an option. You understand what I'm saying? So while we are in these seats, it is our duty to do what's best in our ward. So I don't see why all of a sudden we have to put a dollar amount on what we're doing. We've been doing good work. We want to continue to doing the good work, and we will work with you to do the good work as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And would anyone else like the floor at this time?
Madam Chair,
You have the floor.
I have one more question. Can council members collaborate to do projects to benefit their wards with these dollars?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
I thank you. Anyone else? All right, so I do want, go ahead.
Here's where I'm at with this. We've been allocated these ward accounts prior to Candace getting here, prior to Leon getting here. What I don't want to do is use this platform as a platform based on political motives when it comes down to people recalling us, because that's what democracy looks like. People have an opportunity and a right, and regardless of whether we're here today or gone tomorrow, that's what democracy looks like. People have a right to recall us. People have an opportunity to run for office. You just did, and you was elected. Congratulations. But what I don't want to see us do is use this platform as council members to bring in a politics of because somebody exercising their right to recall us.
Quincy, let's stop it. Just stop speaking, because what you're saying doesn't make sense. You're a council member. You're in politics. It doesn't matter. He's saying, Jonathan Jarrett, ethically, it doesn't pass the sniff test. Ethically. And it probably won't pass the sniff test if they send the information into, they're going to get audited by the federal government. Once they get audited, it's not going to pass the sniff test. I'm sorry. I wonder if now Detroit. I'm bringing up Detroit because I had a chance to apply for a grant for one of my clients. I applied for a grant, and this grant was a beautification block grant. And one of their requirements is that you had to be, you're a nonprofit, and then you had to partner with the school or a church, and they had to be the block club. And it's kind of stupid, but that's what was one of the requirements. And some people had the requirements, if you were other than a nonprofit, you have to have a fiduciary to be responsible for the money. Okay. What Detroit did, not to say it was right or wrong, but it made sense. They allocated so many dollars per year for this beautification grant. And they made it, you had certain requirements, and they made it where you could get certain amount of money for this grant. And then unbeknownst, you didn't really have to be, hey, I know the city council. No, it's all these different words. Unbeknownst to them, they could send in their application. They posted it on their website. You could send in your application, and they viewed your application and your budget, and then they awarded the money. It had nothing to do with city council. City council wasn't even part of it. I'm pretty city council said we're going to allocate this money every year. $1 million every year for this certain area. And then they had the homeowners come and say, hey, we want to do blah, blah, blah. We got a community garden, blah, 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 blah. And then you send your application in and it was approved by an independent party, not the city council. Oh, I don't like you, so I ain't going to approve it. No, that doesn't even make sense. So I could see Jarrett saying that. Then you want, okay, I got this budget. Then you want, you don't like me, you got to approve my budget. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. So they need to stop it. He doesn't make sense.
Or someone is running for office or got appointed a position, the opportunity to be able to do things in their ward because they is exercising a right to run for office. So we want to penalize them.
I know reason why they vote the same because they could tell Quincy Murphy what to do. That's why they could tell Quincy Murphy what to do. The new guy over there, I'm not for sure if he's more gullible. You know, I'm not gonna call the man any names, but I'm not for sure. But I know he showed up to he's more hood. He showed up to one of his tenants' house with a chopper because she didn't want to leave the house. He was trying to evict her illegally. That's who they have in the seat. But anyway, I'm off track. Quincy Murphy is where he's at now. They have all these votes. They're able to get the majority of votes because they could tell him what to do.
Because they running for office, it's not right, and that is not what we looked at when it comes down to when we looked at the priorities and we said we wanted to allocate $30,000. We didn't put no restrictions on there, and we didn't say, okay, what if you get recalled during this time, or what if you resign and someone get appointed? I'm not gonna get in that, but
that's a bad point. That's not what he's saying. That's what I'm saying. He makes me have a headache. Just stop talking.
What I will do is present my ward priorities to this council body, and if we can get 5 votes to vote for our projects, then that's what we do. But I'm not gonna get into this politics stuff. I'm not gonna start that, and I ain't gonna.
You're in politics, buddy. What are you talking about? You're not gonna get into politics. You're in politics. You were voted, like you were voted in. That's like your job to get in politics. What are you saying?
I'm not going there. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. Now that everyone's spoken, I will take my time. I am assuming, as Councilman Murphy pointed out, that everyone is clear that a lot of this was done before most of us currently sitting up here right now, even on council. I would not assume that anyone would be implying that integrity is not in place, or that somehow all of a sudden we cannot do our jobs that we've been doing since we've been appointed and or elected to do should have to cease. Simply because, like Quincy said, democracy is taking place. The whole point in us being here, both being appointed and elected, is for us to do our jobs no matter what. No matter if you being in the seat may or may not be a few weeks or months from now. The reality is that I have, and you know this firsthand because you come to meetings, my colleague in the 9th Ward, been working on these projects for months with people.
I had to push back on her because, yeah, this is not stopping you from doing your job. You're there to legislate, to make sure the city budget is allocated in the ways that it is effective for the residents of Flint, Michigan. Now, if you want to make sure that your ward receives certain types of funding, you guys could have voted in and say, and hired a company and hired them, or some are, what is it? I don't know if Flint has a economic club or whatever. You could have got one of them to set up a special team to allocate these funds to distribute these funds so you won't have all these mad as hell residents. This is the problem. These residents are mad. They mad because they know they got $94 million and they ain't seen a damn dime in it. And they getting up every morning, looking outside. Maybe their house ain't messed up, but their neighbors is. So they probably piss off. And you want to vote on your ward so you could spend the funds as you see fit. Oh, you don't like me, I'm not gonna spend. That's what they're saying. That's what Jonathan Jarrett is saying. And she doesn't see that. You're saying that it's stopping you from doing your job. No, it's not. It's not.
In my ward. And so the same way that we're saying we hope it's not political in us expending these funds, we hope it's not political in the stop of us trying to expend these funds. Furthermore, friendship is not a requirement at all for us to do our jobs up here. The only thing that is a requirement is professionalism. And so losing or gaining a friend is not a thought of mine as we go through this. And so as we move forward, like my colleague said, all of this has been in the works before 3 of us were even here. And so now to talk about halting something that residents have been working with their council people on simply because there are unfair implications is absolutely crazy. To say something so unfounded is absolutely ridiculous. I do want to make sure that all of our wards know that when it comes to stuff like this, we will not interfere with one another. If you said that you talked to your ward and you vetted it with your ward and you do something that your ward does not like, that is on you to have to deal with your ward for not doing something that they like. That is completely on you because as we all know, one of the things we are subjected to, especially when you are elected, we're subjected to recalls and everything else. So the trust has to be here that everybody is moving to do what's best for their ward, that the conversations are happening with their ward, that the influence that they're getting for spending these dollars are simply coming from their ward, that they're being fair across their ward in the expenditure of these dollars. I'm happy that we are having this conversation for everybody to kind of lay it out and get an understanding of the process. It is my understanding that the way this process works is hopefully you will all go back to your wards, discuss with people in your wards, whichever way you choose to do it, but to discuss with people in your ward how they would like this money expended. Not only that, but after you discuss with them how they would like the money expended, that you would then run it through the compliance firm. The compliance firms would tell you that you are in compliance, and then you would present a plan that you and your ward have come up with before this council, and that this council would respect what you submitted and respect you as the voice for your ward. Thank you. And at this time, this will end our special order.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes.
I put a motion on the floor to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
So they're mad at him because he didn't support that $30,000 to go to each individual council member. They're mad at him because of that.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Ms. Machad? Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr.
The list of out of 200 states in America, number 8, a burden city, but the state gonna give us 1%. But that 1% is $20 million. And the other thing about this situation, we on a time limit thing like this Ninth Ward was talking about. They always filibustering around where they want to throw away them $30 million. Where we Flintstone can get further penalized or looked down on like we don't know what we're doing in America, in Flint. And Ms. Bashak and the new 3 newcomers on this board, you see, we just barely make it because the Shady Bunch done lost their vote, and Ninth Ward coming in and messing up their plan like Tiger Woods messed up the white man game, stepping on the green, and Becky beat the black back on the guy, and take that, America. And look, people going to watch their kids that get graduated from them high school, 2 of them at the same time, and we're still taking care of business. Thanks to Rosalind over there, the city clerk, Jasmine. Yeah, and another thing, when the business come through Flint like this, we don't tell Oak Park, the first park in Flint, and trying to upgrade the park without doing, who y'all think? Man, we put the historic park without your, Mr. Murphy, without your input, because you let them taking over St. John without you
You ain't standing by, ain't doing nothing with DuPont, James P. Cole. They're rearranging stuff from Pontiac, talking about rearrange Flint from start from the Mott students giving people the right to plant cedar trees in Flint.
This this resident, he's an elderly man, and he's just giving everybody the business. He spoke like 3 or 4 times throughout this 4-hour long meeting, but it was different sessions. Anyway, I don't want to play him too long. I'm just going to get to Rich Jones. He was there speaking. I don't know if you guys remember, I have Rich Jones on my show. I believe it was last week, and he was talking about the $30,000 and other stuff.
H.C. Dumas, I want to acknowledge Commissioner Lloyd.
You know what? My bad. This is not Rich Jones. This is somebody else.
All right. See, he sat in those seats. I want to say this. First of all, the $30,000, they used to have ward accounts. I've been around long, probably before some of y'all was born, most of you. They used to have ward accounts. And the highest ward account it was $10,000. And they would do things in the ward. This is nothing but a political slush account to make the resident think you're doing something. But you ain't doing nothing. And they see far beyond the political slush account. And Mr. Jarrett, don't let them beat you down. Because they'll make they'll make you seem as though you're evil. When you don't agree with them, you're evil. The honeymoon is over. Now I'm gonna say that. And we're watching, because you don't move me. Not at all. Now we got this ordinance to change the rules, disorderly conduct. Please don't even don't even vote on it. Because you know why? It weaponizes the residents. They'll take those police officers back there and weaponize us. They have put people out 80 years old out of this chamber. I implore you, please don't. We know where they are. So I'm saying what I'm saying. Well, what about this area, Mr. Murphy, over there? What about the other area? You need votes over there. See, you need votes. And you're going for votes. Mr. Machek, don't act like, well, we're not political. It is political. And you know it's political. I ain't saying
they're not going to acknowledge the residents. Remember last meeting I shared with you where it got kind of rowdy. They kicked some people out. Matter of fact, I believe they kicked somebody out. And this meeting, it got kind of not as rowdy as the past meeting. Now they wrote up a resolution for crowd control. They're trying to pass a resolution as they see fit. If they feel like you're doing something wrong, they're going to pass a resolution where they could kick you out. Well, what about if you're doing something wrong? They're very rude to the residents. They're very rude to the residents. So why are you trying to dictate how the residents act and speak in the council chambers? Now, if they're like causing a ruckus or interrupting the meeting, yeah, I could see that. But they're allowed to like clap and respond. They should be allowed to do that. But no, they want to control everything that people are saying.
Stealing money. I'm just saying it's political. And you'd be crazy if you did use it as political. I know if I was in your seat, I wouldn't. But you not me, and I'm not you. So I said what I said, and I meant what I said. I'm a senior citizen, but I'm not senile. I was going to get it. It's going to take me a little bit. Thank you for this opportunity to set the record straight. Wide negative attention.
Political. It will make a difference on the outcome of these races. It will. And it should. Thank you. And it should. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Rich Jones.
How y'all doing today? I just want to come up here and tell y'all once again, I ain't getting tired. I may have been missing, but I ain't tired. I watched the last meeting, another bonfire, making history for all the wrong stuff. All around the nation, people are watching what's taking place at these meetings. Somebody gonna be knocking on y'all doors and y'all might not want to answer it. I always say, and I'm gonna say it again, don't do nothing that will not allow you to answer your door. And right now, some of the things that y'all are doing is bringing a whole lot of negative attention to this city. Nationwide negative attention. And it's ridiculous because y'all should have a reputation of helping the people. It hurt me so bad at that last meeting, Quincy, when you went up there and were talking about the people that paid their water bill, when you know that 70% of our water bill is the KWA bond, and you know that we can't drink straight out of our sinks, even from the houses, and this is something else that I hope you be aware of. We start at the wrong end of the conversations. Let's talk about our pipe replacement. They should have been replacing stuff from the water plant up to our homes, instead of replacing the lines, which still require filters. When it came to the Buick City project, they should have told the people, we're going to tax you $72 million, we're going to clean up the site, we're going to build a building, we're going to get somebody to occupy this building, and then we're going to hire 3,000 people. That's a 15 to 20-year process. You did not say that, and it may be less. I may be wrong on that, it may be less. But instead of saying that, you said 3,000 jobs. I'm not going to stop 3,000 jobs from coming to this city. Should have started from the, and another question. On the, where y'all built that old park, next to the old park, is y'all really going to put a battery plant there? Because I feel that y'all should put a battery plant on an old Blue site that's already contaminated. And y'all really don't have a quorum either, but so I can still talk, but no, I'm good.
Next speaker.
So now somebody realized that they don't have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 9 people. I don't know what their quorum has to be. I don't know how many people has to be in attendance for them to have a quorum. This last part, let me just share with you Quincy Murphy response. He responded to everybody. And this is why the residents gets upset with all of them, because they're ignorant. It's very ignorant for them to think that you're going to place these rules on me and you could treat me however, and I can't respond to you.
I want to say to the people that's doing it, why would you say it's Genesee County when it's here in Flint? You don't even bring us up.
Next speaker.
That was the last speaker.
Okay. Council responds. Any council respond? Any council responds? Going once, going twice? I would like to respond. Let me respond to AC doing this. AC, you talked about the ward accounts and what our priorities, and it is political. But one thing about Councilman Murphy, and maybe you still
remember, he talks about himself in the third person too.
Grasp the fact that I am the councilman in the 3rd Ward. 2 years ago, I went over and watched them kids play in Rollingwood Park. 1 basketball court. I told them kids, I'll come back and I'll do what I can to help bring a full court because it's a lot of play over there. It's a lot of activity. And while you driving around trying to find things to criticize in the 3rd Ward, go over there in Rollingwood Park on a hot day and see how them kids is playing basketball on 1 court. And then you said you went to Dewey Park. Let me get back out your car again, since you like to ride around. And when you go up Dewey Park, all you gotta do is pull up on Moore Street, look at that basketball court. 2 boats holding up the basketball rim. Next time, walk the basketball court and see what's going on. Instead of you, matter of fact, go down Holbrook Street and go to Good Church and look at the laundromat. Instead of you trying to embrace positive stuff in the 3rd Ward, every time you hit that podium, you don't have nothing but negative stuff to talk about when it comes down to this community or what somebody ain't doing because they ain't doing what you do. It'll be a cold day in hell before I follow you.
That's how you respond to the resident. That was his response to the resident. The problem is Quincy Murphy, I believe they did put him up for a recall, but the recall failed because remember when I had Rich Jones on, he was saying that they rezoned everything. So when they collected the signatures, some of the signatures were invalid. Okay. So that's with Quincy Murphy, but I think his recall will be successful once they figure out who voted Quincy Murphy in and how to collect those signatures. But right now is redistrict. So they need to pull out the old zoning map and see, and then start collecting those signatures. Now, as far as Liddell Lewis, her recall failed like 2 times. It never got up to the vote. One, they lost the signatures, I think the first time, and the second time I forgot what happened to it. But she's on the ballot for recall, but you know, they're not I guess the effort, I don't know if they lost steam or what's going on with that. Anyway, yeah, he's probably will be recalled. That's probably will happen with him and Liddell Lewis. I don't hear too many complaints about this Machette lady, but I know she's in voting with the other 5 people, you know, or 4. It's 4 of them now. The other one got kicked out. She got recalled. Ms. Beverly stated that they were close. Liddell is being protected by the mayor. That's probably why she be popping off so much. And that's probably why those signatures were lost. Because when they collected the signatures, I don't know if it was the clerk or whoever was supposed to count it or make sure the signatures were valid. They said she lost 8 pages of the signatures. So they couldn't count the recall.
Thank you. That's it for the response. For the legislative, what's the pleasure of the body for y'all? I would like to do a consent agreement with any separations.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
There's been a motion made to do a consent agreement. Is there a second?
Support.
There's been a motion made and supported by Councilman Dr. Lewis. Is there any separations? Yes, Councilman Jarrett.
Let's go ahead and separate 240191.
240191.
Well, yeah, it's only 2.
Okay. Is there any other separation? I know you wanted to keep The add-on
Yeah,
ordinance.
yeah.
You want to separate that one too?
Separate that one also. Thank you.
Okay.
240168.
So that one is 240168. Offenses, Article 1, and General Section 3110, disorderly conduct, assault and battery, and disorderly person.
So they're trying to change the rules or whatever in the council chambers, and this is their exchange with that.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 31, General Offenses, Article 1, and General Code of the City of Flint by amending Section 31-10, disorderly conduct, assault and battery, and disorderly person. Note, this ordinance shall become effective 30 days after an enactment. This separation was by Councilman Jarrett. What's the pleasure of this body for this ordinance?
I'd like to make a motion to send Resolution 240191 to council.
To where?
Council.
There's been a motion to move 240191 to council. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Sure.
Councilman Jarrett.
So I'm somewhat assuming that this ordinance is being amended as a result of some of the behavior in the chambers. That sort of said, I'm looking at some of the words that are used, and for example, in the resolution under definition 5, threat means the expression of an intent.
Keep going. Keep going, Councilman. Keep going, Councilman Jarrett. Point of order. I'm calling the audience to order. It's still,
Are we at recess?
No, we don't.
Threat means the expression of an intent to commit an act. Now, when I see that word intent, that it seems like there's a difference then in distinction between what I would otherwise hear the elected officials say when we say we don't know each other's intent. But at this point, are we going to be the arbiter of what someone's intent is outside of the 9 of us? I just, I don't know if for the years that we have had this body, if we may have some to do with why this is necessary today. And maybe want to myself see if we can do different, which might cause for they to do different and not be a need to put rules in place that should speak to what otherwise we view or would want to view as decorum.
If we are different, maybe the residents will be different. If we're with the rah-rah shish kumbah, the residents will be with the rah-rah shish kumbah. If our decorum is hoodish and radish, the residents they're going to mimic the same thing. They're feeding off of us. If we set the bar saying, hey, I'm conducting myself as a council member and I'm not going to raise my voice. I have a right to tell you my opinion and give you what I feel, and I don't think necessarily you should be given what you feel. Hey, this is the rules that we set out. This is how I'm conducting myself, or if I'm trying to pass some type of legislation or whatever, this is the rules. We set the bar. But if you set the standard low, the standard is just going to be low. It's going to stay there. So he's very diplomatic. This new guy, Jarrett, Jonathan Jarrett is very diplomatic in his response, which he should be. But no, they were pissed off because he was too diplomatic. They felt as if he was taking the resident's side. No, he was just being logical about the situation. Have you ever told your kids stop screaming or don't hit or don't do something and you turn around and do that very same thing? They looking at you like, what the hell? You just told me not to do this. Oh, stop cussing. Oh, you cuss all the time. You set the bar. They're looking at you. You're the legislative body. Yes, you are held to a higher standard because you're the city council.
So I'm really not for adopting today or even moving this to council today because I don't know that this is necessary when we model what we expect of others. So that said, I yield my time.
Next speaker. Yes. Is there anyone else?
Madam, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
All right, so I would like to speak. All right, so according to this resolution, I'll be remiss not to vote for it because one thing that we're voting for we're voting for the safety and security of all council members, and not just council members. We're talking about appointed officials, elected officials, and city employees. And so what I would not do, I would not vote to not ensure them the safety that they need in order to do their job. As someone on the other end, and I'm not sure if our colleague in the Ninth Ward was here that day, but when you have multiple people yelling in the audience that they want to quote unquote beat your ass, and as well as people doing those things of that nature, I'm bringing you to order, Ariel. So that's your warning.
I think Liddell, she act as if she doesn't call some of the stuff that warrant a response for a resident or whoever saying, I'm gonna whatever. I don't know if she's referring to that tape I showed last time with Tanya Burns online and the residents were approaching her. Instead of her staying in her seat and saying, hey, we need this guy to be moved. No, she got up and she wanted to respond to them. And Ms. Burns said it was like 3 or 4 guys approaching her. Yeah, I think that's totally wrong. I think it's totally wrong for 3 or 4 guys to be approaching you talking about, I'm gonna whoop. Yeah, I think that they were totally out of line. But what did you say? And why did you get up like you were gonna take all of them? So you're saying you're not safe, but I'm a woman. If a guy approached me in a manner that like a threatening manner, I'm not going to approach him like I'm going to do something. No, I'm going to bag up. And if I got my CCW on, they going to get something. But I'm going to back up. If my husband's with me, he going to step in. But I'm going to back up. I'm not about to fight a man. But she clearly was about that life. She was about to fight this guy. And I'm thinking like, you are a lady. Why would you even put yourself in that situation like you was about to, get with these dudes? Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. So she's cut from a different cloth, apparently, that she thinks she could take on 4 dudes. And the way she's built, she looked like she could take 4 dudes. She looked like she could hold up her own. I'm not for sure about 4 dudes, but one of them, she probably was gonna, get her licks in. But we're saying you're saying your safety is threatened because all these people talking about beating your ass and all that stuff. But it's like, Okay, what did you say to invoke that response? And we know you said something.
So again, this is a professional legislative body, and this legislative body is set.
And you use the word professionals, but you're not professional. You guys are not professional. And I'm not just saying Liddell. All of them be like unprofessional.
By certain rules. And these rules demand that the people that are in attendance, that they have decorum. And with that decorum, that includes to be able to do your job in a non-threatening environment. And so when we say that we're not going to support this, it gives the impression that we're not for working in a safe and stable environment. Or it gives the impression that if it's happening to someone else, it's okay. And so what we need to do, we need to make sure that we are providing safety for everyone, and that includes elected officials, that includes appointed officials, the people from our board, the zoning board, different commissions. Moreover, we're talking, Mr. Jones, let's not yell out. And let's not yell out, ma'am. Okay, you're being brought to order. So, from our election.
And one thing about Liddell, she's holding it together in front of this guy, the new guy. She don't want to show her true self, but if he's attended the meetings, she already know how, or he already know how she acts. If he knows anything about her and have attended any of these prior meetings, he already knows.
Like the seats, it is not a threat from the colleague in the Diaz, but we had several instances of having riotous behavior in these chambers. We had aggressive behavior towards colleagues in these chambers. We had people from the audience run up to elected officials in these chambers, and we want to make sure, that we have a safe working environment. So I just encourage our colleagues to think about that, because just because it's not happening to you does not mean that's not a problem. And we want to make sure that we're setting the tone for future council people. We're setting the tone for future appointed people. We're setting the tone for future staff members that we have yet to hire.
And I do agree with Liddell. Nobody should be just running up on you and trying to hit you or assault you. No, I don't agree with that. But does that mean a change of legislation? No, I think maybe those individuals are not wrapped too tight if they're trying to run up and fight you. But it could be words sting. Words have meaning. So if you using your tongue loosely or giving somebody a lashing, maybe you will be better off in taming the words or the use of your words, and not just to offend. You using your words to offend people, and people like the residents of Flint, they're tired, they're exhausted. They're looking at this city council, this body, spending all this damn money, and none of it is going to them. And after they promise, they promise the city, oh, we're going to fix your water. They didn't fix it. Or we're going to fix your roof. They didn't fix it. We're going to fix this blight. They didn't fix it. So years have gone by, and the residents are still suffering in Flint. And then you wonder why they come to the city council meeting and you're rude to them and they want to beat your ass. You wonder why that happens. They're people. They're people that are suffering. And you wonder why this happened. And you're supposed to be for the people. You're supposed to be looking out for your constituents, and you're not. You're just going around threatening people. I've heard some crazy stuff about Liddell Lewis. I'm still trying to corroborate this story. 2 people told me about it. And it's crazy. that just happened. You guys, let me just show you my last, before I get off, I'll show you. Liddell, when I first started talking about Flint, Liddell decided to come to my Instagram page. She decided to come to my Instagram page and send me a message. This is my Instagram page. She said, "Good morning. I encourage you to vet your information before you promote inaccurate content on your platform. Have a great day. I don't know what inaccurate information I reported. I just played some tapes." What are you talking about, inaccurate information? Played some tapes. Yeah, and I responded, "Hello, Miss Liddell. What information is inaccurate? You are more than welcome to come on my platform to discuss." That's what I told her. And she said, "Unbiased media is paramount. If impartiality wasn't compromised, I guess because I had Tanya Burns on here, I would have taken you up on your offer. But being called shitty isn't very inviting." I could own that. I had to go back and said, did I call this lady shitty? But that's what she's saying. I can own up to that. I encourage you to ask Tanya Burns' resume for her ward city and talk about her failed lawsuit. I asked Tanya Burns about that failed lawsuit. And actually, I didn't even have to ask her. When we first talked, she told me about this lawsuit. And the guy she used a bad attorney, and they didn't file the lawsuit. So it's not a failed lawsuit. She didn't even file it. They didn't file the paperwork. Anyway, as for me, I will continue to work hard and collaborate with the community partners to make a positive change in the city of Flint. That's a great testimony. Great, Liddell. Miss Dr. Lewis. I believe her name is Dr. Lewis. Doctor or what, I'm not for sure. But I heard Quincy Murphy call her doctor or something. And I responded, "Correction. I did not call you shitty. I called your actions shitty. I called your actions shitty." Then I need to retract that statement, because no, I did call her shitty, what she did. Yeah, I thought what we were discussing, because like I said, I went back to Tanya Burns' interview, what we discussed, and I was like, oh yeah, I did call her shitty. But maybe I misspoke. What you did was very shitty. And I'm not going to retract that. Yeah, what you did was very shitty. And as far as me being impartial, you are more than welcome to come on and dispel all allegations made against you. But it seems like you don't want to do that. What was the point of even messaging me? Like, what? What's the point? Now, she sent me this narrative because Tanya Burns mentioned that she received $75,000 plus another $25,000 of the opera fund. And she voted to give herself $75,000. And I say herself, it was her charity. It was a charity that she incorporated. And I guess since Tanya Burns called her out, or somebody called her out, she decided to step down from the charity, or separate from her charity, or promote or appoint a fiduciary for the charity. But the deed is done. You got $100,000 of the funding, and she received $100,000, and no other resident have received not a damn dime. No residents. You had 700 applications and nobody got their roof fixed. So she sent me this post on Reddit. I think it's managed by her. Somebody put, this is Flint's Reddit account. Somebody put councilperson Liddell Lewis created nonprofit and then votes to award herself $75,000 in opera funds. It's not made up. This is the legislation. This is the legislation. This is the legislation or a resolution that they went up before board approval. Sarvis Park Neighborhood Association, Park Revitalization, 25,000. That was April the 17th. And then it gives you a synopsis of the opera funds. It says which 40 million was obligated on revenue replacement. So they sent $40 million to the general fund, I'm assuming. Anyway, so you get city administration recommends reallocating $25,000 of opera funds previously obligated revenue replacement to provide funding for the categories of neighborhood improvement, which is $13 million, consistent of $9.6 million to be funded, including $1.2 for neighborhood cleanup to provide blight removal assistance to Flint communities. The administration recommends funding $25,000 for the neighborhood engagement hub and to provide blight removal assistance to serve the fiduciary for Sarvis Park Neighborhood Association. And so they funded her the money, you know. It went and it was passed, and she received the opera funds. And it says, in my response to this narrative, I voted to give myself $75,000, shaking my head. Due diligence is mandatory. We understand that. We understand that. But how come no one else have received not a damn dime? No one else. How come even in Dalton, even though your girl's spending money willy-nilly hiring these high-ass contractors, you have your city council. Your city administration should be going out and saying, hey, we have so many houses that need to be teared down. We would like to put a bid out for these contracted services. Once the contracted services submit a bid, then it should go over board approval. You already got the allocated money. Yeah, we're going to hire so-and-so, or we're going to a la carte bid these services out. So no one contractor would get all the houses to tear down or board it up, whatever the problem is. No one contractor would get the whole entire bid to mow the lawns. Not one contractor. We're going to allocate each year, we're going to allocate so many dollars on this and this. Why isn't that in Flint? Why hasn't anybody done this in Flint? But instead, we have this nonprofit organization that's coordinated by Liddell or incorporated by Liddell. And she's saying that, yeah, that's true, but it's oversight. Then this unknown person says STWHA, don't know who that is. Hi, I run the nonprofit who's acting as a fiduciary for these funds. While Liddell is incorporated, the group, she has handed off the leadership and control of the group to another resident. I can tell you that she is not personally financially benefited from these grants. One will improve Sarvis Park for residents, and the other will create a food truck area to support local small businesses and vendors, probably even beyond those selling foods. I have my own take on that, but whatever. Our organization is a fiduciary for 6 6 of the opera grants on behalf of the neighborhood association who cannot receive the funds or who need professional assistance with financial management of the funds. I am happy to answer any questions related to the opera funds, as I have worked in the nonprofit sector almost 20 years, and throughout that time have managed and received federal, state, and philanthropic grants. I'm also happy to answer the question about the home repair funds, although I'm not directly involved in that a part of work. Part of the issues with the home repair program is the lack of contractors who can do the work. Do you guys believe that? This was just posted up a month ago. They're saying that they have a lack of contractors that could do the work. Well, put a bid out. Put a bid out. Let me show you. This is what city use, and I know they're not far removed. I know they're not far removed. City use bidnet.direct. How I know this? Because I go online and get contracts for my company all the time. Put a bid out. Do we got any bids from Flint? You're suffering from lack of contractors to do the work, but put a bid out. You got out Genesee County probably got a lot of roofing companies, a lot of contractors. But you're saying that we got lack of contractors that's qualified. I don't believe that. We don't see anything for Flint blight removal services. They have environmental abatement, disposal, asbestos, Genesee County jail water heater replacement. So they have some bids out there, custodial and maintenance services, general maintenance. This is for the Flint School District, asbestos abatement, that kind of stuff. You're not on here. Hey, we put a rebid. We didn't get enough people respond. Put a rebid out there. Make a video. You can't tell me there's a lack of roofing contractors in Genesee County. You can't. I don't believe it. I really don't believe that shit. Unless you have a now listen to this. Contractors tend not to want to work for a government if they feel like they won't get paid. If you have a failure to pay reputation, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of city contractors. You're not. Anywho, this is what she's saying. There's a lack of contractors. And like I said, I don't know who this person is, this STWHA, but this is with Flint, Michigan, and Liddell Lewis. She responded to my post, and she said I need to do my due diligence to check to see what's going on, to make sure my information is accurate. And I invited her on my platform, and she said no. So what do I say to that? I'm just going to go on city council member the meeting, review that, FOIA some stuff, and who's willing to talk to me, that's who I'm going to talk to. And if it doesn't get your message out there, maybe that's too bad. Maybe you need to join on the show. Even though I've said that shitty thing about you, let me formally apologize. I retract my statement. What you did was shitty, but you're not a shitty person. So I formally invite you onto the show. Anyway, if you guys know Liddell, you can send her the message. And it says, I encourage anyone who wants to know more to speak at the council and let your voice be heard. They have. And they haven't had any answers. Like I said, I've heard some crazy things And this is just regarding Liddell, her interactions with people. A woman, different women, different men. And I'm not going to repeat it. But I've heard, people came to the council meeting and they tried to get their voice heard and it fell on deaf ears. Nobody's listening to them. So when you have a resolution coming up and you trying to change the rules of decorum, well, what about your decorum? What about the people? Yeah, they mad as hell. They have every right to be mad as hell because you lied to them. You said you was gonna be their voice, be the voice for the constituents, and all I see is you're being the voice for your people. And like you explained to Jonathan Jarrett, the new guy in the 9th Ward, you said your problems are very different than his problems. And I believe that's true. So why the hell y'all doing the food truck? If you got blight issues, wouldn't you dedicate all that money to revitalizing your neighborhood? I'm just saying. You guys, that's it for today. I've been online for about 2 hours now, I think. Yeah, about 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours. Joseph Young Jr. No, it was a cleanup truck for the city of Highland Park, but a food truck sounds interesting. That's what it said, the food truck. That's what that thing said. I think, let me go back. We'll create a food truck area to support small businesses and vendors. And even beyond those selling food. That's it. Ain't nothing wrong with food trucks, I guess. I'm not for sure. JR6 says Liddell is a shitty person. I would not apologize for the truth. I don't want to satirize her name. Joseph, Miss Chawanne is spectacular. I love her business-minded ways. Awesome. Thank you. You guys, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you. This channel, let me just share this with you. If you're not tuning on this channel, Chawanne Burns 2.0, but you're on my main channel. I need to stop saying my main channel. That's my business channel. Okay, that's my business channel. But I want you guys to go over here to subscribe to this particular channel, which is my political channel. That's why I call it unpopular opinion. Okay, so if you when I drop content, like edited content, I stream for both channels, but when you want to look at a new video, whatever that's trending in the news, I will drop it on Chawanne Burns 2.0. Okay, so I appreciate every single last one of you guys. You guys make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, share this video with everybody you know. Okay, I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you tomorrow.